Hi, I'm Sarah Chin, and this is the story of how I learned that appearances can be the perfect disguise for success. For 3 years, I cleaned offices at Chen Technologies while secretly owning 51% of the company's shares. But let me start from the beginning. I met James Chen at a coffee shop 5 years ago. He was struggling with his startup, working endless hours trying to keep his small tech company afloat. I was immediately drawn to his passion and determination, even though his company was barely breaking even. What he didn't know was that I had just sold my first software company for $40 million and was looking for my next investment opportunity. I kept my success quiet. Too many experiences with people only interested in my money had taught me to be cautious. So when James and I started dating, I told him I worked in business operations, which wasn't exactly a lie. He assumed I was a mid-level manager somewhere, and I let him believe that. Our relationship moved quickly. Within 6 months, we were married in a simple ceremony. His family, especially his mother, Linda Chen, was less than thrilled. A manager marrying into the Chen family? She'd whisper loud enough for me to hear. James could have done so much better. But then came the twist that would set everything in motion. 2 months after our wedding, James's company, Chen Technologies, was on the verge of collapse. They needed an immediate injection of $10 million to survive. James was devastated. That's when I made a decision that would change everything. I would help, but on my terms. I created a shell company, Phoenix Investments, and approached Chen Technologies as an interested investor. The deal was simple: $10 million for 51% of the company. James was hesitant to lose control, but with no other options, he agreed. What he didn't know was that his new majority shareholder was actually his wife. Here's where things got interesting. To keep an eye on my investment while maintaining my cover, I took a job as the office cleaner at Chen Technologies. James was embarrassed, his wife working as a cleaner at his company, but I insisted, saying we needed the extra money. Linda, my mother-in-law, was ecstatic. Finally, she had concrete proof of my low status. She made sure everyone knew that her son had married the cleaner. At family dinners, she'd deliberately spill things. "Oh, Sarah, be a dear and clean that up. It's what you're good at, after all." For 3 years, I played my part perfectly. I cleaned offices during the day, but my real work happened after hours. Through Phoenix Investments, I quietly guided the company's major decisions, turning down James's riskier proposals and steering the company toward more profitable ventures. The company began to stabilize, then thrive. But success made James's family even more unbearable. They credited everything to James' natural business genius, while treating me with increasing disdain. Linda even started a campaign to convince James to divorce me. "A cleaner isn't suitable for a CEO," she'd say. "Think of your reputation." James, to his credit, defended me, but I could see the strain it was putting on him. The final straw came last week when Linda organized a surprise dinner. She invited a young, wealthy heiress who she thought would be perfect for James. The entire evening was orchestrated to humiliate me. As I served coffee, Linda had insisted I act as waitstaff. I overheard her telling the heiress, "Don't worry about her. Once James signs the new company restructuring plan tomorrow, we'll have enough leverage to force her out." Little did they know, tomorrow would change everything. Because tomorrow was the day Phoenix Investments would finally reveal its true owner, and I had my own surprise plan for the Chen family. The next morning dawned bright and clear. I arrived at Chen Technologies early, not to clean, but to prepare for what would become the most memorable board meeting in the company's history. I changed from my usual cleaner's uniform into a tailored black Armani suit I kept hidden in my office. Yes, I had an office. The cleaning staff supervisor's office, to be exact, which I'd used for late-night work when everyone else had gone home. Linda had orchestrated this emergency board meeting, convinced she finally outmaneuvered the mysterious Phoenix Investments. She'd spent months gathering support from minor shareholders, promising them better returns once they removed the absent investor who was holding the company back. She didn't realize that every move she'd made had been carefully monitored. James arrived looking troubled. He'd mentioned the meeting to me the night before, apologizing that I couldn't attend since it was high-level business stuff. I just smiled and told him I'd be busy cleaning the conference room anyway. He'd winced at that, and I'd seen the doubt in his eyes, the same doubt his mother had been carefully nurturing. The board members filed in at 9 a.m. sharp. Linda swept in last, wearing a triumphant smile followed by her personal lawyer. She'd even invited several business reporters, planning to make the leadership transition a public spectacle. I watched through the conference room's glass walls as she took her seat beside James, patting his hand like a mother about to watch her child win a school prize. Before we begin, Linda announced, standing up, I want to thank everyone for coming to this historic meeting. Today we'll be voting on a new direction for Chen Technologies, one that will finally unleash its true potential. She shot a meaningful look at the reporters. That was my cue. I walked into the conference room, my heels clicking against the hardwood floor. The security guard, who usually gave me friendly nods, now stood straighter, uncertain why the cleaner was wearing an Armani suit. What is she doing here? Linda demanded, her voice shrill. Security. Actually, I said calmly, placing my briefcase on the table, I have every right to be here. I pulled out a folder and slid it across to the company secretary. As the majority shareholder, I believe I should have a say in this new direction. The room erupted in confused murmurs. James stared at me, his face a mixture of shock and confusion. Linda laughed, but it sounded forced. What nonsense is this? Everyone knows Phoenix Investments holds the majority shares, not some cleaner. I smiled and opened my laptop, connecting it to the room's main screen. Let me clarify something. My name is Sarah Chen, formerly Sarah Zhang, founder of Zhang Security Systems, which I sold for $40 million 5 years ago. I am also the owner and CEO of Phoenix Investments. I pulled up the company registration documents, watching as the color drained from Linda's face. That's impossible, she whispered. Is it? I turned to the business reporters she'd invited. Would anyone like to fact-check that? Zhang Security Systems' sale was quite well documented. One of the reporters was already frantically typing on his phone. His eyes widened. She's telling the truth. Sarah Zhang was named one of the top under 30 entrepreneurs 3 years ago. But she disappeared from the public eye after selling her company. Because I fell in love, I said simply, looking at James. His face had gone pale, his hands gripping the arms of his chair. I wanted someone to love me for me, not my money or success. When I met James, I found that. And when his company needed help, I found a way to provide it while letting him maintain his dignity. Linda had sunk back into her chair, her triumphant smile long gone. But I wasn't finished. I clicked to the next slide, displaying a comprehensive analysis of every attempt she'd made to undermine the company's relationship with Phoenix Investments. Mrs. Chen, you've spent the last year trying to convince shareholders that Phoenix Investments was hurting this company. Let's look at the actual numbers. I walked them through charts showing the company's growth since my investment. Under my guidance, Chen Technologies has tripled its market share and increased profits by 400%. I turned to the board members. The restructuring plan you were brought here to vote on would have stripped Phoenix Investments, stripped me, of my voting rights through a complex shell game of subsidiary corporations. Did anyone bother to ask why a majority shareholder who'd helped deliver such strong returns needed to be removed? The board members shifted uncomfortably, avoiding Linda's desperate glances. The reporters were typing frantically on their phones. This was definitely not the story they'd expected to cover today. Sarah, James finally spoke, his voice hoarse. Why didn't you tell me? I moved to stand beside him, placing my hand on his shoulder. Because you needed to become the leader I knew you could be without living in my shadow. Every decision you made, every success you achieved, was your own. I just helped guide the company away from the riskier ventures. All those nights you came home late from cleaning, he said, realization dawning in his eyes. I was working in my office, reviewing contracts and financial reports. I squeezed his shoulder. The cleaning job was just my cover. Though I have to say, you'd be amazed at what people will discuss in front of the cleaning staff. Linda suddenly stood up, swaying slightly. This is all a lie. Some trick. You're just a cleaner. A nobody. You can't be. Oh, but I am. I cut her off firmly. And now that everything's in the open, we need to discuss your attempts to seize control of this company. The board members might be interested to know about the offshore accounts you've been promising them. I pulled up another document on the screen. Linda's eyes rolled back, and she crumpled to the floor in a dead faint. As people rushed to help her, I caught James's eye. He was still processing everything, but I saw the beginning of a smile tugging at his lips. You really cleaned up this situation, didn't you? He whispered, and I knew we would be okay. But the day wasn't over yet. As Linda was helped into a chair, coming around, I prepared to reveal the final phase of my plan. One that would secure the company's future and put an end to the power plays once and for all. In the chaos that followed Linda's fainting spell, I maintained my composure and continued the meeting. After all, I hadn't spent 3 years building this company to let one dramatic revelation derail our future. As Linda was helped back into her chair, still pale and shaking, I moved to the next phase of my presentation. Now that we've cleared up the matter of ownership, I said, clicking to a new slide, let's discuss Chen Technologies' future. I laid out my vision, a merger with my new startup, a quantum encryption company I'd been quietly developing on the side. The combined companies would be worth over $500 million. This is what you've been trying to prevent, Mrs. Chen, I said, addressing my mother-in-law directly. While you were busy planning my removal, I was negotiating one of the biggest deals in Silicon Valley's cybersecurity sector. The reporters were practically salivating. One had already published a breaking news tweet that was going viral. Cleaning lady revealed as secret tech millionaire CEO during hostile takeover attempt. James finally found his voice again. All those times you said you were at night school, learning business basics. I was meeting with investors and development teams. I smiled apologetically. I'm sorry for the deception, but I needed to keep this quiet until everything was in place. Linda, who had recovered enough to speak, tried one last time to regain control. The board won't approve this, she said weakly. They know better than to trust some what, mother? James cut in, standing up. Some woman who built a successful company from scratch. Some person who loved your son enough to help him succeed while staying in the background. Some CEO who just offered us a deal that will make Chen Technologies a major player in cybersecurity. The board members were already nodding enthusiastically, looking at the projected profit margins with growing excitement. The deal wasn't just good, it was transformative. I moved to approve the merger, one board member said quickly. Others seconded immediately. As the votes were counted, unanimously in favor, I watched the last of Linda's power crumble. She'd spent years building her influence in the company, positioning herself as the mother of the CEO, the wise advisor, the power behind the throne. Now she was just the woman who had spent 3 years mocking her daughter-in-law for being a cleaner. The meeting concluded with the signing of preliminary merger documents. As people filed out, buzzing with excitement about the company's future, James pulled me aside into his office. 3 years, he said softly. 3 years of watching my mother belittle you, of seeing you clean floors and empty trash cans. Why did you put yourself through that? I took his hand. Because I believed in you. In us. I wanted to help you succeed without making you feel less. I've seen too many relationships destroyed by money and power imbalances. He pulled me close. You know what amazes me most? Not that you're secretly wealthy or that you've been running the company from the shadows. It's that you were willing to clean toilets just to stay close to me and help the company succeed. Well, I smiled. It did give me an excellent view of how the company really operated. Your middle managers really should learn to watch what they say around the cleaning staff. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of changes. The merger announcement sent our stock price soaring. Business magazines clamored for interviews, fascinated by the story of the undercover CEO. I agreed to a few carefully chosen ones that focused on the business strategy rather than the family drama. Linda took an extended vacation to recover from the shock. Before she left, I visited her at home. She sat stiffly in her living room, looking smaller somehow, diminished. I don't expect us to be friends, I told her honestly. But I love your son, and this company has been his dream since before I met him. I'd like to find a way forward that doesn't involve constant warfare. She was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. You could have destroyed me today, exposed all my plans, my offshore accounts. Why didn't you? Because you're James's mother, I said simply. And because sometimes the best revenge is simply succeeding. She nodded slowly, and while we didn't hug or suddenly become best friends, something shifted. A foundation for a different kind of relationship, built on respect if not affection. James and I moved forward too. He insisted on taking me to dinner at the coffee shop where we first met. As we sat in the same booth where I'd first fallen for his passionate talk about his struggling startup, he took my hand. You know what this means, right? He said with a grin. No more pretending. No more cleaning uniforms. I squeezed his hand. Actually, I think I'll keep doing a cleaning supervisor rounds once a week. You'd be amazed what people tell the cleaning lady. It's better than any management consultant's report. We laughed together, and I felt the last weight lift from my shoulders. The truth was finally out, and our future was brighter than ever. Today, 6 months later, Chen Technologies Zhang Security is the fastest growing cybersecurity firm in Silicon Valley. James and I run it together, true partners at last. Linda has returned from her vacation with a slightly different attitude. She still isn't warm, but she's respectful, especially after our stock price tripled post-merger. And me? I keep a cleaning uniform hanging in my CEO office. It reminds me that success isn't about titles or corner offices. It's about being willing to do whatever it takes to protect what you love, even if that means pushing a mop while running a company. Sometimes at night, I walk through our empty offices, remembering all the conversations I overheard, all the plans I made while everyone thought I was just emptying trash bins. And I smile, knowing that sometimes the best disguise isn't wealth or power, it's being underestimated. After all, they say it's lonely at the top. But from what I've seen, the view is much better from the bottom, looking up at people who never bother to look down. Because that's where you learn the truth about who people really are and what they're really capable of. And as for James, he still occasionally teases me about my night school classes, but now when he introduces me at business functions, he always adds with a proud smile, "My wife. She really knows how to clean up in business."